Hello guys, welcome back to John's Workshop, and in this video we're going to be doing Workshop Blether number 12. Now it really feels to me like I've been doing far too much blethering on, certainly on camera, very recently with the videos that I've been putting up on the engraver sort of update. There's been lots of talking and not a lot of action, so I do apologise for that, and I really wanted this to be a machining video of some sort, some description, but largely there's nothing. I've got a project ready to start, but I'm not quite ready to get on with that yet. So, and also I've got some viewer mail and some stickers that have been kicking around in the workshop now for quite some time, so I want to address that, and I've got a few more points that I'm going to address on the board behind me as part of this video, so we're going to run through. So apologies in advance. It's called a blether for very good reason. There's going to be lots of blethering and not a lot of machining, but we are going to be looking into one or two bits of the workshop just out of interest as we go around. So where to start? As I say, we've got some viewer mail that's come in and some stickers, so we'll move to the bench just shortly and have a look at those. I've got a bit of a fire safety update, so and it'll just be a very quick show and tell, but I've now got my 6 kilogram dry powder fire extinguisher that I showed in one of my videos when just after Cliff had his fire in his shed. So just show you that installed. Going to talk a bit about insulation. So this is way long overdue. Somebody asked me, or it was way before the winter when I first insulated the garage door, how I'd gone about it. So we'll probably talk about that. That said, it's dark now and I wanted to get outside, so I might film that bit tomorrow and we'll just splice that in, because you need to see the outside of the garage door, see what I've done on there. And just check my other stuff. Yeah, comments. So something that's been sort of bothering me for some time is I've tried very hard on all of my videos, and I think I'm up to about 130 something videos now, and we're just coming up to the 2-year mark, or will be in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks time. So I've tried really hard to answer every single comment that I've been sent, apart from the odd loony one. So it's as the channel's growing and I'm getting more subscribers and I'm getting more comments and I'm doing some videos that are more popular and things like that, it's becoming a bit of a challenge, if I'm honest, to get to them all. And so I put a video up every Sunday, as most of you know. I do on a Sunday night sit down and try and work through the comments that have come in, but then we tend to get other comments coming in on older videos and through the week, and I do try and get through those and get caught up with them, but just as an apology, if you've put a comment in and you've not had a response from me, it's not because I'm ignoring you, it's just because of the sheer volume of traffic that there is, both through YouTube comments and also through my YouTube email address that I've got, the John's Workshop email address. I'm also fielding quite a lot of emails from various different people who watch the channel, which is great, and I really enjoy it. And there's been some good, some good things that have come out of that, and some good backwards and forwards and idea sharing and all that good stuff. So yeah, there's quite a lot of work to do in terms of just managing the population, if you like. So you guys, yeah, apologies in advance. And if I'm late getting back to an email, don't worry, it's not because I'm ignoring you, it's just because there's so much going on and I just have to try and find the time to fit everything in. And similarly, if I'm late getting stickers out, and there's a good few of you that I've promised to get stickers in the mail to, and I do apologise, none of those have even come out the drawer and got into an envelope yet. So there's at least 4 or 5 of you, I think, that I need to send stickers out to, that have contacted me in the recent sort of, I don't know, 5-6 weeks, something like that. So yeah, not done that yet. Do need to do a sticker run, so I'll be getting those done hopefully, and I keep telling people in the next week or so, and I keep failing to do that, but I am going to crack on with that. So yeah, I just wanted to address that point on the comments. Really important, and I've tried really hard, and I think as the channel continues to grow, it's just going to become impossible to get to everybody. So yeah, apologies for that. And what I will try and do is pick the ones out that are asking a question or that kind of thing, and maybe shorten some of my responses as well, just to try and be a bit more frugal with my time. So We said about installation, fire update, stickers, so mill plans. So yeah, I've nothing to show at this point in time, but if you go back and look at my video called Workshop Tour, I think, plans for 2022 or something like that I called it, I went into quite some detail about my Chinese milling machine and my plans for that, to want to change the Morse taper 4 spindle out to put a BT30 or NT30 type spindle in there, and that was proving really difficult because they're out of stock. There's only one company in Europe that sells them. They're out of stock until the middle of the year, so that was kind of plans on ice, really, to be honest with that, or so I thought. And then I got a nice email from one of my viewers and subscribers, who's actually got one of these things kicking around in the back of his workshop that's just collecting dust, and he said, I'm more than happy to come and have a look at it, and if it's the right thing, we can come to an arrangement, and that gets me hopefully the spindle change option that I want to do for the head. So really pleased with that, and I do need to follow up on that. And I was planning on doing it, I think, last week and this weekend, but there's been a bit of a COVID scare with me personally and with people that I've come into contact with through work, so obviously limiting my contact with anybody else just at this point. I don't think there's anything to worry about, but yeah, just trying to be as sensible as possible with regards to transmission. So yeah, that was that. So yeah, good news is there's a NT30 spindle hopefully on the way in the next few weeks, and as soon as that lands, that will probably tie in with the next Blether video that I do in a few weeks time, so we'll be able to get a good look at that and then hopefully start cracking on with that particular modification on the milling machine. And that's going to run over probably several episodes. That's going to be quite an interesting set of modifications I want to do to the machine, and yeah, I'm not even sure how deep I'm going to go into that. I might be even looking to bypass the gearbox that's in the head of the mill completely and convert that to a direct belt drive potentially, and go VFD, as I said in my previous video. So lots of changes, so that's going to run over quite some time, so but I'll keep you updated and posted on that as it happens. I think that's covered most things on the board. So upcoming projects, so we'll probably spin round for some of these into various bits of the workshop, but yeah, we're gonna have a quick look at the shaper. It looks no different. There's still bits lying all over the floor and bits lying all over the shaper, just as I filmed it probably in January. Nothing's moved on that. I really want to make a start on that refurb of that, but having just spent the last 4 weeks refurbing the engraving machine, which now sits, I've got a nice space for that now at the end of the bench. I've actually had a tidy up in the garage finally, got rid of loads of boxes, made some space for the engraving machine, so that's now up on the bench. I just want to have a little bit of a break from filthy oily hands and doing that kind of refurb work, so I'm going to have a couple of weeks on a couple of different projects, and then we're going to get stuck into the shaper. So we'll have a quick look at that. On terms of the engraving machine, I will probably show you again the seat that I'm sitting on. Hopefully most of you saw me make that. This stool that I've made that's got all storage underneath it, I've had a good sort out of all my copy, brass copy with all the letters on for the engraving machine, so we'll just show you a quick look at what I've done with that. That was last night, got all that organised. So other projects, I've got a set of drawers that I showed a long time ago. They're just here. That my dad half-inched from his workplace about 30 years ago when it was closing down. So a set of steel drawers, and I've been thinking for quite some time what we're going to do with these, where we're going to put them, and I've decided that these are going to become my welding drawers. So what I want to do is, one of the projects upcoming in the next few weeks is weld a bit of a framework up underneath my welding table that will support this set of drawers, and then I can start filling these drawers up with, you know, grinding discs, all the paraphernalia, wire brushes, everything to do with welding, new bits and pieces for the torch on the MIG welder, things like that, welding rods, that kind of thing. Get them out of here and out of all the other places they are in the workshop kicking around into one central area, so that's a project upcoming, so we'll show you that and probably complete the welding bench while we're at it. There's a bit more welding to do on that while we're doing that, so that's an upcoming project. I've got another welding project that's upcoming, and that's hopefully going to be in the next couple of weeks. I want to make a start on that fairly soon. I'm not going to give too much away about that just now, other than to say I'm going to be combining two of my hobbies, or two of my passions if you like, so engineering, albeit welding largely, which that's not one of my passions because I'm rubbish at it, but I'm learning. So yeah, a bit of welding, bit of cutting, and without giving too much away, I'm blending that with music, which I spent many years in my past studying music of various different sorts, classical, brass bands, orchestras, piano music. That I've done loads of that in my past, and so yeah, we're going to be blending two things together, and there may be some potential to try and work some theory into that at a later stage around harmonics and vibration, which is very lined up with what the kind of issues you get on a milling machine or a lathe when you've got vibration and things like that. So there's lots of synergies with this project with run-of-the-mill engineering, but it's going to be hopefully something quite interesting and out of my comfort zone from a welding perspective. Never attacked anything like this before, so it's going to be an interesting project. So that's upcoming. Just looking around the shop, so yeah, milling machine, shaper, welding bench. Now that probably maps out the next 8 to 10 weeks worth of projects, probably longer than that with the shaper. That's going to take quite some time, so that's kind of the flavour of what's coming up, and then obviously anything that drops in between there in terms of projects upcoming. So all interesting stuff. So I think with all that being said, we'll flip the camera around, come into the bench, and we'll have a quick look at the viewer mail and the stickers that have arrived into the workshop. Right guys, I've actually cleared my bench. Properly had a good tidy up today, which has taken a couple of hours, to be honest, getting rid of a lot of the dross and a lot of the muck that was left behind from the engraver work that I've just been doing. So we've got some viewer mail and some stickers on the bench. I've got a bunch of nice letters, some handwritten, some printed, which I'm not going to show, that have come from all of the people who've contributed here. So we'll go through the stickers first. So firstly, this was a relatively new one to me a few weeks ago in terms of a viewer and subscriber of the channel. So this is Bill, and his channel name is WJB2, and then there's a space and then Bill, so that's his channel name. And Bill is in the northeast of England, and Bill's recently started having a dialogue with me and watching some of my videos, and we've had a bit of email back and forth. And poor old Bill, only last week I think it was, got took into hospital with a suspected heart attack, I think. But I've had a quick look at. He's got some shorts videos, and he's put a bit of an update out, and thankfully that wasn't what it was. So and it's something else, but still fairly serious, but not obviously as serious as the old ticker giving up. So Bill, thinking of you, mate. I don't know whether you're still in hospital or you've managed to get out yet, but if you're still in there, chin up, and I'm sure you're in the right place and the guys will get you sorted out. So I'm going to be putting Bill's stickers up. Bill's channel's a bit different to mine. It's not necessarily engineering from what I've seen. There's lots of sort of motorbike type stuff. I think Bill's a biker, so lots of sort of bike type videos and touring and things like that. So if that's your thing, and I know a couple of my other subscribers, and one of them whose sticker is going to get shown very shortly, has got a passion for that kind of thing. So yeah, there'll be some connections there with some of you, I'm sure. So if that's your thing, go and check Bill's channel out. Again, it's WJB2 space Bill, and you'll see Bill's picture on his channel logo. So that's Bill. Thank you, Bill. And the next one is, most of you who watch my channel will watch Kev. So this is Kev at Mr. Factotum's workshop. So Kev is a very good engineer. For those that haven't seen him He's been in the industry a bit like myself. He's been in the industry all his working life, and he's got a passion for steam, and he's built a steam loco from scratch, and he's currently building a water tender to go on the back of it. He's just got rid of his L plates, I think, in terms of being able to drive that at his local steam club. And yeah, Kev's work is really good, and he's got a nice little workshop. He's got some nice old classic bikes as well, and I think he enjoys getting on the motorbike and doing a bit of travelling. So yeah, if you've not heard of Kev's channel, Mr. Factotum, go and check him out. Kev was one of the contributors in the collaboration we did for the baby vices for the Veterans Workshop in the US. And yeah, Kev's work's really very good. Go and check his channel out. He's a very talented guy. And then the other sticker that I've got in the shop is George. And George is originally from the UK, but now living in, I think it's Manitoba, if I've got that right, George, apologies, in Canada. And George has only really just got set up, certainly on YouTube, and he's just getting set up in engineering. And this, sticker's designed by himself. It's his own drawing. He likes doing a bit of drawing and artwork as well, so that's George's sticker. And George is in the middle of a Canadian winter right now, and he's doing some snow updates and showing how many feet of snow have fallen over any particular given night. It looks incredibly cold, talking about temperatures of -30+C and months worth of white snow lying outside and things like that. But yeah, George lives in a very nice part of Canada, very rural, a bit like myself in terms of where he lives. And he's just getting going. So if you've not come across George, go and check his channel out, give him some support, give him some, the guys that have been doing this longer, give him some tips and some advice and some help, because he's just on the start of the journey. He's teaching himself, and he will be very appreciative of any help and support. And as he's getting deeper and deeper into the passion that we all share for everything engineering. So yeah, go and check George out. And then we've got some viewer mail. So this is from one of my subscribers who's going to remain anonymous, and he's been watching my videos. He's watched the arrival of my shaper turn up in the workshop, and he's said to me, would you like some high-speed steel for your shaper? And I'd never even given it any thought. I bought the machine and I'd given no thought to tooling whatsoever, and I just probably thought I'd cobble along with some bits of high-speed steel that I'd probably got kicking around from lathe work, and I don't have very much. I've got one tobacco tin full, really. That's largely it, so don't really have a lot of high-speed steel. And very kind donation from one of my subscribers, and you know who you are, thank you very much, with a nice handwritten letter in the box. And the gentleman in question said, I've got lots of high-speed steel kicking about, would you like some? Because it's just collecting dust in my workshop. And I said, well, yes please, that'll be ideal. So I mean, just look at this lot. There's just loads of it, loads, and it's all good quality stuff. Presto, it's cobalt as well. There's a lot of cobalt high-speed steel in here, just lots and lots and lots of it. So that's just a small selection of the big stuff I've lifted out the box. And then underneath that is a massive great load of high-speed steel in there, which some of them have been ground up for, that looks like it's probably been ground up for a form tool maybe, or even a screw cutting tool. So what I might do with some of these is, if there's anything that's been ground up nice for the lathe, I might whip some of those out and keep them for the lathe, because there's plenty here for the shaper. Yeah, some nice sort of different form tools ground in some of them. And so I'll have a good route through those. I'll pull the ones out that I think are worth hanging onto for the lathe and separate those out, and then the rest of them will be obviously for the shaper. And what a selection. There's loads of these. This section, this is 3/4 by half section, 3/4 inch by half inch section, high speed steel and cobalt high speed steel, a lot of it all Presto. So yeah, you know who you are. thank you very much. That is a massive help to the workshop, and it's going to be really helpful for when I do get the shaper refurbed and I need to start putting some tooling in it. I've got heaps to go at here, so that will last me out. Definitely is enough to last me my entire hobby on the shaper with that lot, and plenty more besides. So yeah, fantastic, really fantastic. Thank you for that. So while we're talking shaper, I think we might as well, so I think that's us done with stickers. We might as well spin round now and take a quick look at the shaper. As I said, it's not going to look any different from the last time you saw it, but we'll just have a quick look at it. So there we go, guys. It looks exactly the same as it did in January. Literally nothing has moved, and I've just moved the camera, and this is really sloppy practice. I've been not necessarily tripping up over that lot in the middle of the floor, but I've got a funny walk now. Every time I come in, I have to lift my leg up to step over the shaper table, and it's just pure laziness. I could have moved them behind the shaper out of the way, and I've not done because I know I'm going to be working on it, so I've just left it all as it was, and I really can't wait to get tore into this and get this up and running. I'm massively excited to get this going, but there's a lot of work to do before we get there. So as I said, we're going to be starting on this in the next 2 or 3 weeks, so it's going to be interesting, and you know, there's weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks worth of work on this, based on, you know, I only get 5-6 hours a week out in the workshop probably, so what you see is largely everything, or you know, every bit of time I spend out here is what you see on my videos. So at that sort of hourly rate, there's lots and lots of weeks worth of work in this. So what I don't want this to become is shaper video after shaper video after shaper video, because that will become tedious for me and for you guys. So we'll split that up a little bit as we go through, but certainly going to make a start on it very shortly. There we go. There's our fire protection update. So this is my 6 kilogram dry powder fire extinguisher, automatic. So it's got the little sort of glass vial with red liquid in it that you see on sprinkler systems, that when that gets to, I think it's 86 degrees Celsius, that lets go, releases the powder, and this is far bigger than the square footage of my workshop from a volume perspective. So, and I've placed it roughly central about the garage volume for probably best effect. Hopefully when it does let go, this serrated washer on the bottom here spreads the powder out in a fan shape. So yeah, it's certainly a big improvement. I struggle with a low ceiling in here. You know, I can touch the ceiling, it's not high, and I'm a short arse, so it's quite a low ceiling. And fortunately, being a short arse, even with that there, I'm certainly not going to bang my head on it, but if we get anybody of normal size walking in, I'm going to have to make sure that I remind them to miss that, because it is fairly low, but it's not going to bother me. So yeah, in response to Cliff's shed fire video, and yeah, it just made me sit up and think, obviously, as I put in my video. So that's the first fire protection piece that's going in. I'm still waiting for my heat alarm that's going to link to the smoke alarms in the house wirelessly, and I'm due to get that, I think, at the end of the month. So as soon as that comes in, that's going to get mounted up on the wall somewhere near the top of the workshop and get plugged into the alarms in the house, so that if anything happens in here in the middle of the night, all the alarms in the house should go off to give me a little bit of advance warning. So, and I think I'm going to feel much more protected with those two things in here. So yeah, in response to what poor old Cliff's just been through. And while we're talking Cliff, if anybody, I've been trying to get hold of Cliff, and I don't have an email address for Cliff, and I don't, because all my YouTube's largely done on a tablet, I don't get to see email addresses. So if any one of my sort of regular viewers that I'm in contact with has got an email address for Cliff, please let me know, drop me an email with his email address, because I would like to get in contact with him. I've got something here that he may find useful when he starts his shed rebuild, and I'd like to try and have a chat with him. So yeah, if anybody can point me in Cliff's email direction, that would be really helpful. So we've had a really good tidy up at this end of the bench, got rid of a lot of boxes and things. I had quite a lot of ramble stacking up on here, so we had a real thorough sort out today, cleaned all that up. Got my engraving machine sat in the corner, draped with a towel for now. What I do plan to do with that is probably make some kind of better cover for it than just a towel draped over it, just to try and keep the worst of the muck off it. But I think that's where it's going to stay. It's out the way in that corner. It's not the sort of machine that you're going to be using every day, every week, so, but it's something that when you do need it, you need access to it. So where that sits in the corner there, I can work it in that position. I've got power sockets that I can use. So yeah, that's probably where the engraver is going to live from now on. And while we're talking the engraver, I'm just going to spin you around, have a quick look at my stool for those that haven't seen it, and then we'll show you through what I've done in terms of organisation for the brass copy. So here's my homemade stool. Some of you will have seen it, some of you might not have done. So this is all made by me, and I had some fun with the sewing machine, learning how to use a sewing machine to stitch up the back and the seat element. So this was my first proper welding project, I suppose, where I did some proper welding, and we've done that. You can see what I've done, and I've got a selection of boxes that I got from Lidl and Lloyd's. So this one has got all my, well, a varied selection of things in this one. So feeler gauges, oil stones of various different types, all different sorts of oil stones in here, some cut off wheels, polishing wheels, that kind of thing, cylinder hone, oil stones, my diamond dresser for the surface grinder, dividers, that kind of thing. So needle files, got all my needle files in one element of it. So a bit of a random selection in there, but you get the idea. It's just a storage solution. And this is the seat that I sit on at the start and end of every episode, and I don't sit down on it any other time apart from that, by the way. And so this is the drawer that I did last night. So we'll just put that up on the bench, or I'll leave it here and just show you it on top of the seat. We'll just bring the camera in and show you what I've done. So this is all my brass copy now for the engraving machine in alphabetical order. So I hope I don't embarrass myself here. So obviously A through to Z. I'm glad I got that the right way around. That would have been embarrassing. There we go. So we've got A through to Z, and we've got, this is really good selection. I've got 5, 6, 7, 8 of each, something like that. And then I've got 0 through to 9. I've got some various different sort of like ampersand and things like that. If I ever decide to go into business, I'm laughing because I've got limited, so we can be John's Workshop Limited. I've got various different kind of mathematical operators, multiplication, minus, divide, things like that. Plus sign, various different things like that at this front end. And then I think I've got some fractions, so half, a couple of half fraction ones. So yeah, that's all my brass copy for the engraving machine. It's right behind where the engraving machine is, up on the bench just up there, so all nicely to hand when I want to do any engraving. So really happy with that, and these boxes from Lidl are absolutely fantastic for this kind of thing. That's just what they're designed for. So yeah, really pleased with that. So we're just going to talk insulation now, and I think a couple of people asked, they obviously seen this go up and asked how I'd insulated the garage. So this really is just a bit of a thermal barrier to try. More than anything, it doesn't keep the garage warm. All it does is stops some of the condensation happening on this door, because I've obviously got heat in here in the winter to try and keep above the dew point. What you would typically see when it's, you know, minus whatever out there and it's 7, 8 degrees in here, the inside of this door would just be streaming with water, which obviously creates more moisture in the air in here, which leads to more rust, more condensation and everything else. So this isn't about keeping the garage warm, it isn't really about stopping heat escaping through the garage, although it will have a very, very tiny amount of effect in that regard, but not a lot. This is about, just more than anything, stopping the transfer of temperature through a single sheet steel panel garage door. So you can see it if you Google garage door insulation, you buy this stuff on a roll, basically cut it to size. You can see where I've joined it. So I've done this in 9 panels largely, or actually there's 3 more short ones across the bottom, so 12 different panels. They're provided with some tape, double-sided tape to stick this on. After doing some googling and seeing other people, because there will still be moisture and damp behind here, that doesn't work particularly well, so I went for aerosol can sort of contact adhesive. So I sprayed the door, sprayed the back of the silverized bubble wrap, and just basically stuck it in place. Nothing more complex than that. So we did that. At the bottom of the garage door on the outside, you can also buy like a rubber strip. It's like an aluminium channel that you screw to the door, and you slide a rubber strip in, and that's basically blocking the gap at the bottom of the garage door a little bit. It just helps to stop lots of cold air blowing in, and to try and retain some of the heat that I've got in the garage. And then at the top here, what I've done is a plastic strip on the outside, because obviously this being an up and over door, this top piece of the door here opens inwards. So I've put a plastic strip like angle iron, but out of plastic, slid that in, and basically all that does is stops again the wind. If the wind's coming from the north, it stops the wind blowing through the gap at the top of the door, and that's it. That's all I've done. There's still gaps at the side, obviously, where the door sits within the frame. There's about a 1/4 inch gap each side. There's not really a lot I can do about that. I've thought about squirting some silicone or something, or you can buy some like foam, sticky back foam, but tried that a couple of times, and after a couple of, this door does actually move side to side slightly with all the play on here, and what happens is, if it does happen to move one side or the other, it just rips the stuff off, so you're forever having to reapply it. Just doesn't work. It's not the right thing. So I'm just living with the gaps at the side, but this has just stopped some of the moisture. So really, from an insulation perspective, that's all I've done. Obviously, as I've said before, the walls in here are all lined with wood anyway, so I've got a cavity, a 2-inch cavity, everything's lined with wood, and that does help to keep some of the warmth in here a little bit when we do put the heating on in the winter. So that's largely it. Apart from that, there's no other insulation in here other than that. So hopefully that's helpful. If you just Google garage door insulation, you'll find all this gear, and it's not difficult to do. It took me a couple of hours to get this door done, with the rubber strip on the outside and the plastic strip at the top, and putting this stuff on. So dead simple. Right, John, what on earth are you doing? I'm not going to say any more about this, other than this is the blended music cum engineering project. So this is the start of that project right here on the bench, and that's all I'm going to say at this point. So don't worry, we're not having a cook-off. This will be turned into something. Probably not what I intend it to be turned into, but it's certainly going to be turned into something over the next couple of weeks. So that is going to be an interesting project. So there we go guys, that gets us to the end of workshop Blether number 12, and as I said at the start, I apologise because it just seems like I've done nothing but Blether for the last 4 weeks now with this one as well, so yeah, apologies for that. There's not been a lot of activity really on camera. There's been plenty of activity off camera, obviously scrubbing away at the old engraving machine, stuff like that, but you know, there's only so much that you guys can watch of that, of somebody scrubbing away with a bit of Scotch Brite covered in oil with black hands. You know, once you've seen 10 seconds of it, you've seen all of it. It's all the same stuff. So anyway, all that being said, we're about to move on to an exciting project. So we'll call it the Mrs. Doubtfire project, for want of a better description, and that'll mean something to some people and probably not to others. So with all that being said, thank you all very much for watching, thank you for subscribing, and to the new subscribers who've come along, and we will catch you all very soon on another video when we'll be attempting to make something else.